Hey guys, welcome back. Today I'm doing a girl talk, a little Q&A, a chatty session. I put a Q&A box on my Instagram story and you guys really came through with some amazing questions and just topics to discuss in general. I'm really excited to get into it. I've never done one of these before, but I want to make them more of a regular thing. I have a gingerade kombucha, which I'm gonna pour into a wine glass, obviously. Get yourself a fun little drink. I always put fun little drinks in wine glasses. Honestly, I don't even really drink wine that much, but I do drink everything in a wine glass. We have some juicy stuff to go over. Okay, question number one, birth control. I feel everything on social media is so anti-birth control because of balancing hormones. So one thing else I should say before I get into this stuff, I don't know you and I don't know your life. All I can share are my experiences and my perspective and my opinion, but take it with a grain of salt because I don't know everything. I know nothing, to be honest. You know your own life better than I do. Every question that I answer is coming strictly from my own experience. Okay, so when it comes to birth control, I definitely know what you're saying because I feel like I got stuck on this side of TikTok for a long time that was really anti-birth control in all forms, like not even just the pill. And I'm really glad that women are talking about it now because the science behind contraception is so far behind where it should be because for so long, for decades, doctors really didn't take our experiences seriously and our experiences with side effects or what women really want out of birth control. So the science is really not where it should be. And it's also kind of a taboo thing, especially depending on what state you live in. It's a political thing. So just straight off the bat, I'm really glad that women are sharing both sides of the coin. So personally, I'm on the pill, I'm on Junal Fae, and I love it. I absolutely love it. It's a pretty low estrogen pill. I had a couple trials and errors, and I discovered that naturally I'm a very high estrogen person, and so to be on a high estrogen form of birth control was bad for me. But once my doctor realized that I was naturally high estrogen, I went on a low estrogen pill and it has been amazing for me. I started birth control when I was 18 or 19. It was the summer that I turned 19, so one of the two. And I initially went on it because I had this span of over a month. I bled for over a month. And I've always really struggled with my periods ever since I first got them. I have had, when I'm not on birth control, I have terrible cramps. I get sick, I throw up, I feel faint and lightheaded. And then I randomly had this month where I just bled for like a month straight. And for me, that was kind of the final straw. And I was like, I need to get on birth control. So I went to the gyno and I explained my situation and I went straight on birth control. Sometimes doctors will just put you straight on contraception without really addressing the root cause of your issues. And a lot of times women who have undiagnosed health conditions are just put on birth control as like a band-aid and it doesn't really address the underlying cause. So I definitely feel like everyone should be very careful when making that decision. And if you suspect that you have something else going on, definitely explore that and like advocate for yourself. But again, I've had a great experience on birth control. It takes away the pain completely. I also had a ton of pain when I would ovulate. I don't have that at all anymore. And it also, I feel like it helps regulate my mood. Obviously, I'm on a mood stabilizer now, and I'm actually gonna talk about that later too. I'm on a mood stabilizer and anti-anxiety medication now, but when I started birth control, I wasn't on any other medication. And I found that it helped regulate my moods. I felt like I didn't have PMS anymore, and I used to PMS really badly. I would have like anger, just like deep anger when I was PMSing. That went away. And then also I take birth control because like I have sex and I don't want to get pregnant. So I also take it just for the fact that I want contraception. So my experience on birth control has been really positive. You need to do what's best for you. But if I like totally know what you mean. It can be discouraging to see so much anti-birth control content on the internet, which is helpful for some people. But to feel like you want it and it's a good thing for you. So I've had a good experience personally. Did you mean for your wedding post to be a surprise, keeping the wedding private? I didn't intend to like shock, but yeah, I knew it was gonna be a surprise because I hadn't talked about anything wedding related in like the previous 8 or 9 months leading up to the wedding. That was something really important to us. We really wanted to keep the moment private and to keep the experience private. And I got a lot of hate for that, to be honest, especially in like the year leading up to the wedding. I got a lot of flack from people for not sharing about it. And I know that a lot of influencers make a lot of content surrounding the wedding, like they even get sponsorships or brand deals, which I think is great. Weddings are expensive. Offset that cost however you can. I just knew for me it wasn't the right choice, and for me and my family, him and his family, we just wanted it to be intimate and a moment that felt really private and special and intimate. And I wouldn't change that for the world. I'm so happy that we did it. I was really nervous to share it with you guys because I knew it would come as a surprise, but I wasn't intending it to be like a big shock or anything. I was so nervous posting those first photos, which I did the Friday after the wedding. Knew that it would be so much better for my stress and my anxiety levels, and just best for our families and our overall experience if we kept that really private until after the fact, and I'm so happy that we did that. My best friend has a crush on the same guy as me. I liked him first. Advice. Okay, complicated situation. This is messy. The really common advice in these situations is that you should never let a guy come between friendship. And I do agree with that. In this situation, I don't know, I feel like there's information I need to know. Did your best friend know you had a crush on this guy? Because also, when you say your best friend has a crush on him, did she come to you and be like, I really like this guy? Does she have intentions of like pursuing this guy? Do you have intentions of pursuing this guy? I don't know. My gut reaction is that I really don't like that. I don't like it at all, because if your best friend knew that you really liked this guy and she's either like making moves or she's making you feel like y'all are in competition or something, I really don't like that. I would definitely talk to her about it. Open communication is the best policy. I would say what you need to say that makes you uncomfortable, express how you feel, and then kind of leave it. And I feel like it's up to her, because she's the person who, I mean, obviously from the information that I have, which is very limited, she's the person who kind of crossed a boundary. And so I would say your piece and then leave it and just observe what happens moving forward, because that will tell you what you need to know about the friendship. That sucks. I'm really sorry. If she's really callous about your feelings, I would say that's like not really a best friend. Especially if you and this guy were like talking, or you were making moves and then she kind of swooped in and cut you off. I would say, to me, that's not best friend behavior. My advice for everything is always like communicate about it. Did you and Matt ever talk about your first time slash how much of my past sexual history should I share with a partner? Okay, I feel like there's really differing schools of thought on this. We did talk about our past partners, not in depth, but I do feel like sometimes like that's relevant information to share with a long-term partner, someone you're gonna be with for a really long time. I don't think I'd share that with like a situationship or something really casual. We did not share details or like, the down and dirty stuff. We didn't talk about that at all. I don't wanna know, he doesn't wanna know, and it doesn't matter. Like, it truly doesn't matter. But we did talk about our experiences in general. And I think that you should, especially if you have stuff in your past that might come up in this current relationship. Like if you had a really negative experience, if you have trauma, if you have stuff you want to avoid, I would say that's pretty relevant and should be shared. I don't think you need to know exact body count or anything. If you guys are comfortable talking about that, then by all means, but I don't think it's something you really need to know. I think you should share your attitudes surrounding sex, because some people view sex very differently. Like some people view sex as a more intimate act than other people do. Some people view it more casually. So I think share your attitudes surrounding sex. Okay? You should share, because the question is how much should I share? You should share whatever you're comfortable with. Whatever you think they need to know in order for you guys to have the healthiest sexual relationship moving forward. But yeah, we talked about it and I'm glad we did. I felt like it was relevant. For me, I have a lot of religious trauma, as you guys know, which includes a lot of like purity culture trauma. So I had hang-ups regarding sex. Even to this day, and I left the church 7 years ago. Even to this day, sometimes I will have a moment where I like flashback to my past, and it'll make it hard for me to be really present or enjoy the moment. So that was something important for him to know. And also if there's something like, this is something that makes me feel really good in bed, this is something that makes me feel like shit in bed, I would say share those things as well. I hate my best friend's girlfriend. What do? I feel like we have all been there when you just like can't stand a close friend's partner. Definitely been there. That is so tough. What I have done in the past and what I would recommend is voice how you feel one time and one time only, especially if it's a situation where you feel like your best friend is in danger. Because it's one thing if like you just don't vibe with their partner, but if you feel like this partner is maybe like emotionally abusive or a serious red flag, or you really question their intentions, or you feel like they're being shady, like something like that could really harm your friend's well-being, I would say bring it up one time, say your piece, make sure your friend knows that you're coming from a place of really caring about their safety and their well-being and their happiness. But then after that, you have to just let people do what they do. And I know that sucks. I have been there. Literally the only fight that my best friend and I have ever had in 7 years of friendship was one time. I hated her boyfriend. I hated him. I thought he was trash. And it's like the only argument we ever had, because I told her and she didn't want to hear it because she was invested into that relationship. It did end not well later, and we very quickly got over that argument, and we look back at it now and we kind of laugh that like that's the only disagreement and fight we've ever had ever. But I am glad that I said something. That's also just like me and who I am in general. Like I will speak up about something. But yeah, I'd say talk about it one time. Make sure that your friend knows that you care about their well-being. That's where you're coming from, and then just leave it. And if it ends, just be there for them and comfort them. Be their friend no matter what. And you have to let people make mistakes, and it sucks. What's the tea on how PR works? How do these companies have your info? This is really interesting. This is something I had no idea how this worked before I became a content creator myself. So yeah, so this is how it works. It can go a couple different ways. Sometimes a company is sending you PR directly, and sometimes an agency that manages PR for multiple companies is sending you PR. So how that works is either a brand will like DM you on Instagram, or will reach out via email, or an agency will reach out and they'll either say like, hey, we'd love to have you on the mailing list for this brand, or they'll say this brand is coming out with a specific product. Maybe it hasn't launched yet and they're looking for your feedback. Maybe it hasn't launched yet, but they want you to try it so that you can hype it up when it launches. And they'll say like, this is a specific product, a launch we're really excited about, can we send it to you? So, and then you'll either be like yes or no, and you provide your address. So there's a couple other factors though, and this is stuff I had no idea happened. When I first started with content creation, I said yes to almost everything, because why wouldn't I? Like it was extremely exciting, and most of the stuff I couldn't afford to buy on my own. So I said yes to almost everything. I do kind of regret that now, because I do think that PR has the potential to be super wasteful, both in terms of like getting products that you simply cannot use, and also in terms of the amount of packaging. I mean, you guys have seen on social media, like sometimes PR packages have really extravagant packaging that like, what are you meant to do with that afterwards? Sometimes it can't be recycled. So at the beginning I said yes to everything, and honestly in the past year I have taken myself off of so many PR lists because I've just realized like it can be very wasteful. I do still get a lot of PR, and I give a lot of it away, most of it away. I keep PR that I'm really excited about, or would be like a restock of something I already use. I give a ton away to my friends. When my friends come over, they like dig through my PR box and they take whatever they want, and they're always welcome to do that. I also donate, and then I also do giveaways for you guys. Something insidious about this industry that I didn't know before. This is shady, but sometimes your address can get traded around between different companies and different agencies. People can buy your address, and sometimes they get traded. So a lot of the time when you're seeing influencers get these really like big PR hauls and you're wondering how does this work, more often than you'd think, we have no idea that that's coming. We didn't give that company our address. We didn't say yes to that mailer. It just shows up. And sometimes it's scary because you're like, how did they get my address? And sometimes it's weird because you'll just get stuff that you're like, this is not relevant to me at all. I'm very grateful to get all the PR that I get, but sometimes I'm like, what am I meant to do with this? And I mean, it's fine because I either give it away or I donate it. But yeah, sometimes I have literally no idea why something showed up at my door, or where it came from, or how the company got my address. How was the wedding night? Spicy. Actually, it's not spicy at all. This is probably gonna be a disappointing answer, but we just fell dead asleep straight away. We left our wedding after midnight and we went to a hotel in DC, and then as soon as we got there, we were exhausted. We showered and we ordered food, and we fell asleep before the food arrived. We were so tired from how long the day was and how hard we partied, and like how many emotions there were during the day, and yeah, we just slept. How did you deal with moving away from friends and family? This is something that makes me sad sometimes, just transparently, because I feel really aware of the fact that my parents are getting older. My grandmothers, especially my one grandma, not doing super well. She's getting older. Why am I gonna tear up right now? I think about the fact that there was a moment in my life where I lived at home with my parents and my siblings for the last time ever, and I didn't even know it. That's crazy. And I visit my parents as often as I can. I call them once or twice a week. I visit as often as I can. I text and call my siblings and stuff, but it's sad. It's really sad. I don't like saying this, but like I might only see my parents 3 or 4 times a year for the rest of their lives, which that's not happening. That's not happening. That is not happening. This past Christmas was actually, when I went home for Christmas, it was some of the happiest 6 days of my adult life because I was living under the same roof as my parents and a bunch of my siblings again, and it felt incredible to come back to that as an adult. I was so happy. It was like the best Christmas I've ever had. I'm so emotional right now. Yeah, it's tough. It's really tough, and you guys know I'm gonna move to Europe. I'm not sure exactly when, but Matt and I are going to move back to Scotland together, and that's where I see the majority of my life playing out. And that's gonna be even further. Like currently I live 3 hours away from my hometown and my parents, and I'm gonna be like moving to a 6 or 7 hour transatlantic flight away from my parents, and in like a 6 hour time difference. And how I think about it to myself is the fact that my parents, and probably your family as well, like they want me to be happy. They want me to chase my goals and chase my dreams. They want me to have everything I want in life, and they don't want to hold me back. Like I know for a fact that my parents and my family would not want me to stay close by just for the sake of staying close by, especially if it meant that I felt like I'd be giving up on dreams. Your family wants you to be happy, and they're so proud of you. And I know my parents are proud of me because it's hard to leave your family. It's hard to move away. It's hard to set off on your own and create a brand new life for yourself. But if that's what you need to do, then it's what you need to do, and your family will be proud of you because they'll see that you're happy. But it is sad. I mean, I clearly struggle a lot with that too. What's the scoop on meeting other influencers at events / trying to make other influencer friends / have you had bad experiences? I feel like I'm not the best person to answer this because I don't live in an area that has a ton of influencers. New York and LA are definitely like the hubs of influencer activity. Through my travels for work and through people like visiting the city and me visiting other places, I have gotten to meet some really cool people. I have never had a bad experience that I've really cared about that much. Like sometimes like I haven't vibed with people. Sometimes people haven't been the nicest, but never in a way that's like affected me that badly. And I also try to be really conscious of the fact that like people have bad days. You never know what's going through someone's head. And sometimes you just don't vibe with people. And I think it's easy to like meet a person that you simply don't connect with and then come away from that and maybe feel like, oh, are they rude to me or something? And chances are they weren't. You just like, your humor didn't mesh. You just didn't like click. So I have made some good friends through the industry, definitely. And we text, we keep up. We make an effort to see each other when we're in each other's cities. Like my friend Sistine, you guys know my closest influencer friend is definitely Clara. Peyton lived here last year and we got to hang out a lot. And then a bunch of other girls that I've met either like at dinners or through other influencers. I have had, I would say 90% good experiences with everyone I've met. I feel like I've met so many really hardworking, ambitious, cool, creative people. Also, there's even more people who I haven't met, but we DM a lot, we're mutuals. That's always really great too. And I would say that like the people I've met have always been really eager to support other influencers as well. Like I'll DM someone or someone will DM me and you'll be like, hey, like I know that you work with this brand and they approached me, but I think they might be lowballing me. Like how much did they pay you for what deliverables? And then we'll just share. Or someone will be like, hey, do you have a contact at this brand or agency? Like I really love to work with them. And then I'll just like share my contact or things like that. Do we use vaginal washes like Summer's Eve or not? I hear conflicting opinions. Yeah, there are a lot of conflicting opinions. I personally don't use anything with fragrance and I don't use anything that isn't specifically made for sensitive skin. But I don't really use specific vaginal washes at all, and you never use anything internally. Oh my God, you never use anything internally. You're like asking for a yeast infection or UTI if you do that. I use just like a really, really gentle fragrance-free soap, only on the outside bits, and I feel like that works super well. But I personally don't use stuff like Summer's Eve because I cannot put fragrance. I'm like terrified of that. Should we all go through a hookup stage? Juicy. I don't want to make a blanket statement for like everybody, like all people. Do you want to go through a hookup stage? Do you feel like that'd be good for your, I don't know, your growth? I wouldn't call it a hookup stage, but I had a moment after I broke up with my college partner. I had a moment, and I don't regret it. I don't think it added a ton to my life. I think I had fun in the moment. I don't think it was good for me overall, just because of I was not like in a good place in general in my life, and I feel like I was using that stage to avoid my real problems. I don't think I was in a very healed part of my life, but I would say, again, like everyone should do what's best for them, and if you want to be more like explorative, I think you should do that. I don't think it's necessary for everybody. I also don't think there's anything wrong with it. But I also feel like there's a hookup phase mentality that we should all, blanket statement, but like we should all have. And I feel like the hookup mentality is like putting yourself first, prioritizing your fun, living life, feeling hot, having a good time, and that can look like a lot of different things for people. So I feel like we should have a hookup phase mentality at some point in our life. It is, I think, so crucial to be single for a while in like your young 20s. I know for me, I'm so grateful for my single period. It taught me a lot. It made me grow so much, and I was able to enter into this relationship, which has obviously turned into a marriage, in a much better place because I had that phase. I know that in general, being single for that time was really good for me. And I felt so hot. I got a ton of confidence back after my college thing. I got my confidence back. I felt sexy. I was like having a great time. I was going out with my friends. And like I said, like mentally it was kind of a dark place in my life, but at the same time, I was putting me first in a lot of ways. So hookup phase depends. Hookup phase mentality, yes. Tips for avoiding UTIs. Actually, I'm a really good person to talk about this. I went through this phase where I got UTIs and yeast infections badly for a while. I did a lot of research, and I realized there were a couple like lifestyle habits that I was doing that were not great for my vaginal health. So I made a bunch of changes. One was I started sleeping either with no underwear or just pure all cotton underwear and never thongs. Looking back, I can't believe I ever slept in a thong. That's like really not good for you. But I basically like cotton granny panties. And I did that, or I slept commando for a long time, and that was really healthy. I also change out of my workout gear immediately, and if I go in a pool or I go swimming like an ocean or something, I try to shower and change pretty quickly after that. Always pee after sex. I know everyone says that, it's true. I also I discovered that I was allergic to condoms, like I said, and that wasn't helping my overall health either, so I made that change. Honestly, the underwear one is a big one, and I don't wear thongs nearly as much as I used to. I used to wear thongs like every single day, and I just learned through experience that that's just not the best for me and my health. So now I only wear thongs if like the outfit calls for a thong, and I prefer like cheeky now. And I always look for, even if it's not all cotton underwear, it at least has that cotton, like, you know that thing in the middle? What is that called? I don't know, you know what I'm talking about. It always has to have like that cotton thing. Best date you've ever been on. This is gonna sound cheesy, you guys are gonna laugh at me, but truly my best date ever was with Matt. It was our first date. I didn't have a ton of first dates before Matt. I feel like, I don't know if it's just like a college thing where guys don't put any effort into like planning dates or anything, but I had really never had first dates until after I graduated. And I did have some nice ones, but my first date with Matt was definitely the best date I've ever been on in my life. It was just incredible. There was like so much immediate electricity flowing across the table. We went to Orofino in downtown Fredericksburg, amazing Italian restaurant, love it. There was so much chemistry and electricity and connection, and it was like so clear and apparent from literally the second we sat down at that table that we were like, wow, like this is it, this is happening. Haven't looked back since. We've been like this ever since. It's actually funny. Should I share this story? It's not that bad, I'll share it. So before this first date, I had 2 weeks prior started my job with the military contracting. I was like the writer and editor. 2 weeks before this. And after Matt and I left the restaurant, we had gotten gelato to go, and we stepped outside and it started raining, and I had parallel parked on the street kind of near the restaurant. Went into my car, we ate the gelato, and then TBH, we like aggressively made out for a long time. Like I said, the chemistry was flowing. And I get to work the next day. Bear in mind, I've had this job for 2 weeks. I've known my boss for 2 weeks, and my boss comes into work and he sees me and he looks at me and he's like, Orofino, huh? And I was mortified, and he was fun. He was like so cool about it, and we didn't talk about it or anything, but he just kind of gave me that like, Orofino, right? And I was so embarrassed because I had no idea that he was like in the vicinity that night. I was mortified, but I don't regret it at all. It was the best first date ever. Okay, last question I'm gonna do is the big one. Sex on meds, low sex drive, having a lower sex drive than your partner, how to have a higher libido and not orgasming because of meds. This is the big one, and it's a hard topic, and I want to acknowledge that from the top. Like, this is really personal and it's hard, and there's so many emotions that go into it. So I'm on medication. Y'all know I'm bipolar, I'm OCD. I have had a really long journey of like finding the right medications for me, and I've gone through a lot of trial and error. I'm currently on a little like med combo that works super well for me. I have experience with this for sure. In fact, the first article that was ever written about me after I became an influencer was a BuzzFeed article, because I had made this TikTok. At the time, I was trialing an antidepressant, and I had made this like very vulnerable TikTok talking about the fact that it had killed my libido, and I was really struggling, and I was just feeling so many things. And BuzzFeed wrote an article about it, and that was like the first article that ever was written about me. So yeah, I know how you guys feel. First thing, no partner should ever be making you feel guilty. They should never be making you feel pressured if you are struggling with your libido because of your medications, ever. And if they are, that's a huge red flag. But I understand that sometimes you might feel guilty anyway, not because they're making you feel guilty, but because you just feel bad. Like, because you feel like it just shouldn't be happening to you. Like, you want to have a healthy sexual relationship with your partner. And when you feel like you're the problem, which, you know, like quote unquote, but like, when you feel like you're causing an issue because of your meds, or like because of your mental health, because of your health in general, whatever it might be, it's easy to feel guilty. I felt so guilty, especially during that specific time in my life, and it was really bad. So for me, I switched medications. I talked to my doctor and I got off of it, but I also made some discoveries. So this is just how my body chemistry reacts to certain things, but personally, my body really can't handle being on SSRIs or SNRIs. I have to explore other avenues. Every SSRI that I've been on and SNRI has given me a lot of really bad side effects, including no libido, no sensation, inability to orgasm, like all of it, in addition to like other side effects. That took a lot of trial and error. And when you trial meds, you have to give them like a fair shot. Like, you have to give them like a month or two. So many times I've had that problem. I was able to figure out that for me, it really came down to the type of medication I was on, and I was able to switch. There are so many of us that go through this. I've been through it. I know there are so many of you who have gone through it. You are not alone at all. And whatever you're feeling about it, you know, if you're feeling guilt or sadness or anger or defeatedness, you can feel how you want to feel. Like, it's hard. This is such like a big topic. I changed medications, and that helped a lot too, but my advice for if you're going through this right now and you can't switch medications, one, I really think it's important to make sure that your partner knows that your lack of interest or sensation has nothing to do with them, because again, they should never be making you feel guilty. But I'm sure, like, if you love your partner, you want them to know that it's not an issue with them. It's not that you're not attracted to them, you don't find them sexy. it's something that you're going through and you want their support, you welcome their understanding, but like you don't want them to feel bad about it. So that's really key. Definitely explore intimacy in other ways. There are other ways to feel intimate with someone that don't revolve around finding an orgasm. It might be a case where it just takes a lot more to get you aroused. Maybe you need a different kind of foreplay than you've ever needed before. Maybe you just need longer foreplay than you've ever needed before. Something that we used to do was, there's this like card game that you can get. I'll try to like put the name on the screen. Like this sexy truth or dare kind of card game, and we have a couple times in the past had an unplugged romantic evening together. You turn your phone off, it's just the two of you, maybe you open a bottle of wine or something, and you go through and you play this card game, and it just kind of helps break the ice and loosen expectations, and I always found that that was helpful for me. Something that I found a lot was like my libido was still there, it was just like deep under the surface and I had to like dig for it. So for me, like changing the types of foreplay and having longer foreplay gave me some good results. That could look different for you, but I would try to explore as much as you can and be intimate in other ways. You can be intimate by having a really deep, vulnerable conversation with a partner. You can be intimate by having a really long cuddling session. You can be intimate in other ways that will help you feel satisfied and feel fulfilled while you get through this. Definitely be open with your doctor. I believe in always being 1000% transparent with your doctor and your psychiatrist about what you're going through and what your side effects are, because they may be able to recommend other things to you that will help. So do that. Don't feel embarrassed. Doctors and psychiatrists have heard everything before, so please don't feel embarrassed at all to say, hey, this medication is good in some ways, but I have no sensation. Like, trust me, they're not gonna judge you. They're not gonna think that's weird. They've heard it a zillion times before and they can probably help. And above all, try not to feel shame, because it's not a problem with you. You're not broken. You don't need to be fixed. It's just a situation. And it's something that with the right partner, you can definitely work through. When it comes to total lack of sensation, I would definitely talk about that with a doctor for sure. It's normal for your sex life to ebb and flow, even outside of meds. I mean, sometimes you can lose your sex drive for a while because you're in a really stressful phase of life. Sometimes, you know, you're tired, you're in an exhausted phase of life, and it's normal for your sex drive to go through periods of more intensity and less intensity and frequency. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. If you are going through that because of your medication, I don't think you should feel discouraged. I don't want you to feel that like, this is it, you're never gonna have good sex again, because that's not true. And the right partner will be understanding and will want to work with you to figure out what will be the best for the two of you. So it's tough, it's really tough. Above all, I just want you guys to know that you're not by yourself in that. It's a big issue. And if you feel comfortable with it, I know that so many of us would like appreciate other people sharing their experience as well. If you want to put it in the comments or something, only if you are super comfortable with it. But I do think it would help people feel like a sense of community if we all shared about it more. It is a taboo topic, it's hard. And again, like women's symptoms and side effects are like, it's hard to get people to take them seriously, but they're there, they're there. I think that's all for today. I do have more questions. So I'll either do a part 2 or I'll put them in a podcast episode. I feel like you guys asked some really good ones and I hope you liked this. I had a lot of fun filming it. I love talking about this stuff. When I'm hanging out with my friends, we literally, this is what we're talking about constantly, every single time. Our boyfriends and I guess husband now have this like running joke. They're like, okay, when the girls get together, how long is it gonna take before someone brings up vaginas? And it's usually less than 5 minutes. Every single time. I hope that you guys liked this. I really liked it. Let me know if you want me to do more. I feel like we've just had a little girly chat and I love that. And I will talk to you guys so soon. Cheers. Have a good day.